everyone. We are Team Hungry Hub. And a quick meet the team before we delve into the elevator pitch. I'm Madal, and I was handling more of the front end of the application, mainly dealing with styling. And the CSS framework that we used to style our application was Materialize, which is a framework based on Google's Material Design, which was a design language that Google developed in 2014 that is also responsive with its own grid layout. So we chose that solid or CSS framework because it was the first one that popped up when we looked up other CSS frameworks aside from Bootstrap. So I'll hand it over to Andrew to talk about his responsibility.
Hi guys, my name's Andrew. I was the project lead for Hungry Hub. I also helped develop the recipe API using Edamame, which we'll go over later. Some of the other technologies I use to help delegate the task are Trello. It's a nice board that lets us keep track of what we're doing, what we need to do, what's been done, and a lot of our documentation, including API keys and other sorts of information that we're able to put into our neat little project here. So I'm going to pass it over to Hector.
So hi, I'm Hector. I took care of the restaurant API. So we use Zomato for that to get all the information about the restaurants and locations where they are. Also, we were thinking about getting some other staff there, but probably in the future we'll put some more people like
Cool.
All right. So now with the introductions aside, we can delve into the elevator pitch. So a quick survey across the room. Raise your hand if this has ever been you at some point. In other words, raise your hand if you've ever been hungry and your stomach looked like this when you were hungry. All right. So this is a big motivation behind what our app became. So when we're hungry, the two solutions to solving that hunger are to either cook or to eat out. But each of these options comes with its own caveats that we have to overcome. For example, to cook, if we're home, the tendency is that we have a lot of food at home in our fridge, but the main question is, well, what do I make with it? Because just because we have food in our fridge doesn't mean we know what exactly we're going to cook for it. The other option is to eat out, but even if you think that you want to eat out, then you have to think about, okay, well, where am I going to go and what do I want to eat? Well, the answer to both of these options is our app, Hungry Hub. So the premise of our app's user story is that as someone who is hungry and indecisive with a craving, I want to satisfy my cravings either with a homemade or restaurant meal, so that I have selections to choose from based on my search criteria. And then breaking down the user flow of how our application works, the homepage prompts the user if they would like to go out or if they'd like to stay home for their meal. And initially when I was thinking about this app, because this is an idea I had at home and then I shared with my group when we got this project, was that it was just to answer the issue of when you're home and you have a lot of food, what do I make? And then Andrew and Hector suggested to me that it would be a good idea to include a restaurant side as well, because you don't always want to stay at home and cook. There's times that you also want to go out. So after the user is prompted of whether or not they want to stay home or go out, the app has a specific flow based on those choices. For example, if you are going to choose to stay home for your meal, the app is going to ask you, well, what ingredients do you have on hand right now? And based on the ingredients that you feed into the application, it will return with different restaurant suggestions for you, or recipe suggestions for you to choose from. But if the user was going to choose restaurant, then the app is going to prompt and ask, well, where is the location of the restaurants that you want to go? And it's going to filter based on the restaurant. And then some of the additional parameters for a restaurant would be, well, what cuisine? And then for recipe, some of the additional parameters would be, well, what kind of dietary restrictions would you have? For those of you that are more nutrition and health conscious. And the APIs that we had used for our app that Hector and Andrew briefly mentioned were for our recipe API, we use Edamame, which is a server-side API that actually provides over 40,000 recipe options that are fed from some of the most popular recipe websites. And then the restaurant API is Zomato. And Zomato is an API that has the parameters of what location, the rating of the restaurant as well, and then what type of cuisine. And then for Edamame, not only is it recipes, but it's also nutritional value. So now with all of the explanations aside, we can delve into the demo.
not switch on my screen? It's on my screen. Let's switch it. Is it coming up there? The website?
I need to drag it and move it over.
I thought it was mirrored.
It's a duplicate.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's there.
I had to do it like that because
Okay.
Alright.
right, guys. There we go.
Oh, does it have it?
You'll have to look up there to control.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this was the homepage that we talked about before, where it'll prompt you whether or not you want to stay home or to go out. And then in styling this page, I wanted to put food in the background, but then there's just so many good foods out there. So that's why it's slideshow style instead with different kinds of cuisine. So now I'll hand it over to Andrew to talk about the recipe portion of the application.
Thanks, Bedell. So, quick show of hands. Who here prefers to eat at home, cook their own meals? You guys? Me too. That's why I like the recipe API. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a quick demo. I'll stand on this side so you can see me. Alexandra, it's a little hard. It's not cloned, so she has to look over here to see what's going on. But let's say you guys decide to stay at home. We're gonna click stay home. There you go. Yeah. So meet Ryan. This is our mascot for Hungry Hub. Ryan likes to eat, and I'm sure you guys like to as well. So hopefully by the end of your search, you'll be just like Ryan. Okay. Up at the top right, we have our search bar. So I just want to ask everybody, throw me an ingredient. What ingredient would you have at home you want to look for recipes for? Someone throw it out.
Cilantro.
Cilantro. You are so. So he's working on it, and then both here are our recipes. We have 12 recipes that come up. And I want to show some of the cards really quick. As you can see, we have the image. Every information you see here is from the API. We have. Oh, is there a picture on this?
Oh, nice.
We got the image. Name of the recipes there. All right. We have 10 servings for this recipe. This total calories 963. Of course, 96 calories per serving. We also have 4 ingredients. And just in case you are interested in that recipe, the source is right here. If you click it, it'll take you straight to the recipe, so you can make that on your own. But of course, it doesn't have to be just cilantro. Someone throw me a second ingredient.
Parmesan cheese.
Parmesan.
Cilantro.
Just do Parmesan. So if you want Parmesan, if you have Parmesan and cilantro at home, guess what? Press enter. He's
I
working
love
really
that.
hard, isn't he? Check him out. Slowly. Hopefully. It's Parmesan spelled right.
You got it right.
That's how you spell Parmesan, right?
That's how you spell
Oh, you know what?
Parmesan.
There
All
we go.
right.
It doesn't
API
matter.
took a little second there, but as you can see, it loaded up everything that has cilantro and Parmesan. We are missing a little something.
You got 2 minutes, guys.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yep.
Okay, so that shows you what a recipe API is about. I'm gonna pass it really quick to Hector to show the restaurant API.
Alright guys, and who likes to go out?
Hey.
We like it too.
Alright, so
Like-
if you go to the restaurant page, see there, okay. Also there's a search bar, there you put the city. So let's say, give me a city.
New York.
And
New York.
when you put in New York City, it will give you.
He's working on it, guys.
We can always wait for Ryan.
Yeah, the API, there it is.
Okay, so it gives you a lot of restaurants that are located in New York City, and it gives you the rating, it gives you the number and letters, excellent, and it gives you the address and basic information, right? Now, if you wanna know more about this place, you go to the See More, and it will take you to another website. Will show you more information about the restaurant. Okay. So could you click so they can see?
Oh.
Where they go?
Yeah, sure.
There you
Yeah,
go.
so we'll go to.
It will go to some
Hmm.
It will give you all the rest of the information about the restaurants. Right. Yeah, and give it a little to Andrew.
So just last note, guys, some of the things that we hope to add to our app is a share feature. If you like a certain card, you share it with your friends on social media. And another feature is a favorites feature, where if you like that card, you want to save that recipe, save that restaurant, that's something that we'd like to add into the future. A few difficulties with the app while we were running into it, but nothing we couldn't overcome. We've had a lot of obstacles, but just like anything with coding, we failed to success. So That is our app. We are Hungry Hub. Thank you very much.
Very good.